In celebration of the release of Endwalker, we are going to be making Final Fantasy XIV food for 24 hours. Final Fantasy XIV is a game that I've been playing for a couple of years now, even though my Mikote Ninja is only level 53 because I lose track of myself and just watch bards play music in Limsa Laminza. But not only are we going to get hyped for the release of Endwalker with this video, but I'm also really excited to be pulling the recipes from one of my good friends. I consider her a good friend. I hope you consider me a good friend, Victoria. Victoria Rosenthal just released her brand new Ultimate Final Fantasy XIV cookbook, and I'm really excited to try some of these recipes. She's a fellow chef, she does a bunch of stuff just like this, and you guys should totally check out all of her cookbooks because, unlike me, she releases them on time. So we're gonna be pulling a couple of recipes from here to test them and taste them, and I'm really excited to dive into the world of Eorzea and the Final Fantasy XIV cookbook. Let's do this. The first thing I'm gonna be making today are these honey crumble muffins, and everything about crumble is good with the world. This is actually a very straightforward recipe, and I have most of my mise en place ready to go. This is a beautiful cookbook. These are goals for me. This is what we're making first. The honey muffins. These look so good. I hope mine look even a third as good as this. I'm gonna try not to do any modifications and try to keep it as close as I can to the recipe, except for maybe like the honey. I'm not sure which one she used, so I'm just using one honey that I have laying around. All the ingredients for the crumble. So into this smaller bowl, we have our oats, brown sugar. We're using like 40 grams of brown sugar, right there, boom. Crumble is really easy to make and it's delicious. Just a touch of flour, not too much for this. This is just to help bind it later. A dash of cardamom. Probably a bigger dash than I needed. We're also gonna add some honey to this one as well. This is raw honey, this is so good. You know, it says like a tablespoon, but we're just gonna, you know, recipes are meant to be changed. Cold butter. Gonna pop this in here and just, we're gonna crumble everything together with that fork. Just bring it all together for the crumble. Or maybe we can just use our hands. It's gonna get real gooey with this honey in here. Okay, maybe hands was a bad choice. Crumble all this together. Just, you know, do your best. Do what you can. Okay, now maybe I can use my hands so that way it kind of crumbles a bit better. I love crumble. We're gonna let this hang out. We're gonna put this in the fridge. It says cover it with plastic wrap. I don't really think I need to because I'm gonna go through the other section so quickly. It'll be okay. That way I also don't have to fight plastic wrap because we all know the struggle. Now, in a second bowl, we have to make the muffin batter, which is super easy. I have a little bit of all-purpose flour, melted butter. That's not good. That was a tripod. It was very angry. Melted butter that's been cooled. Boom, right in there. A bit of sugar. This is just like 2 tablespoons of sugar. Some baking powder. The obligatory dash of vanilla, as we all know. Now, I cut this recipe in half because I was like, I don't need a dozen muffins. I only want 6 muffins, which is still a lot for me. But the recipe calls for 1 egg. Now I know a lot of baking recipes will measure out every ingredient based on like how many eggs you need or how much liquid you need. So in this case, I'm just going to crack the egg into here, whisk it together, use half of it, and just cook the other half. I'm gonna have a half an egg. I'll add it to the Dodo omelet that we're making later. Did I make that? I did. Give us a little breakdown. There, that's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just muffins. You know, oh, okay, that's good enough. That's about half, maybe. And then we're also adding in some oat milk. This is about a half a cup of oat milk. I don't know what kind of salt we need, so this is sea salt. What else? Oh, honey. Ah, the fork is in there. Oh, I gotta get something else dirty. A little nice thing full of honey. It's like a tablespoon again. Now, we have everything that we need for our muffins. It seems really thick, which is good. Muffin batter shouldn't be really that wet. Oh, but this looks like it's gonna be good. Oh, so the honey makes a huge difference. The better the honey you use, the more floral and fragrant this will all be. So I'm just gonna mix this for another, I don't know, minute or 2. Now I do have an overly large muffin pan, but again, it's only for 6 muffins, so that's really nice because I didn't want a dozen because I would eat the dozen. And hit this with some pan spray. You can also use butter, you can use lard, use bacon grease. I don't care what you use. She says use pan spray. Now we're gonna try to measure this out as evenly as possible, so this way they bake really evenly. Otherwise, if you just have them like willy-nilly and throw in just random amounts in each one, it's not gonna bake right. We're gonna just get the biggest, bestest spoon that I own. I love this. This is a cereal spoon. Everyone should have one. I'm gonna take a big old glob, pop it right in there. Yes. Hopefully this actually makes 6 because this muffin pan, they're bigger muffins. These are like Costco muffins. We all know about Costco. These aren't even halfway full, Costco muffin pan. I want them to be at least halfway full. Maybe we'll get 3 very large muffins. That's fine. It makes it so that I don't eat as many of them later. Victoria, this is not on you. This is on me. I've messed up. Please forgive me. But now we get a lot of crumble on each of these. I just want to make sure that this crumble is kind of broken down a bit more than it was. So this way I don't have huge globs of butter. If you throw in huge globs of butter on top of this, all it's gonna do is melt. So I wanna make sure that this is fully like mixed together before I decide to throw this on top of my muffins. Okay, the honey is kind of fighting me. So we're just gonna go for it. This looks good. It looks good enough. I like a lot of crumble, you know? And because I don't have a lot of batter, we're gonna put extra crumble on each one. I'm gonna do like half crumble on these. These muffins are gonna be gigantic. So I still have to make breakfast. This is not even breakfast. This is the snack for later. Okay, now into the oven after I've removed all the butter and honey from my hands. I should probably wipe those out so they don't smoke out the oven. That's probably a good idea. Do one of those, just get it nice and clean. Yep, that's good, okay. Now, into the oven for how long? How long are we doing this for? 18 to 20 minutes. C'est la vie. I hope those work. So my muffins, since they were a lot bigger, I ended up going for about 22 minutes and they got a little more color on the sides than I would wanted, but I think that would have been fine if you had a smaller muffin pan. While these were baking, I also had a lot of my mise en place going for my Dodo omelet that I'm actually going to have for breakfast. So with the muffins, we're just gonna remove them after letting them sit in this pan for about 5 minutes. So this way they cool down completely before we jump into one, because hot muffins are great, molten muffins are not. So we're gonna grab ourselves a cooling rack. We're gonna gently pop these. Oh no, not the crust. How do I want to do this? They should just slide. Oh, look at that. Okay, so the color on the side is really, really nice. It's a little blonde up top, but I think that had more to do with like the crumble falling to the side, but these look really, really good. I'm actually really stoked with how these came out. They smell phenomenal. The honey you can really smell come through. I'm gonna let these cool down. We'll have these as a snack after the Dodo omelet, so we'll just let these hang out. I lied. I'm not gonna have the Dodo first. I really want the muffin right now, and we're gonna have the Dodo for lunch, followed by second lunch potentially. So we're gonna dive into this thing. I'm so excited, so cheers. Look at the inside. Ooh. Oh, that smells so nice. It's nicely cooked. I mean, can you see that? It might be blown out a little bit, but I'm just gonna jump in. I mentioned this earlier. That honey makes all the difference. The better honey you use, the better the muffins will be. The crumble is delicious. It has this really rich texture and taste to it. I love this. This is so good. I wish I could have gotten more crumble on top. It's my only thing. Oh yeah. Okay. Now we'll do the Dodo omelet. The next thing we're gonna be making is kind of lunchtime. It's also 2 p.m., so I'm gonna try to make 2, 3, maybe 4 more dishes today. It's gonna be tight. But the next one we're gonna be making is the Dodo omelet, and I'm looking forward to this because, I mean, it's omrice. You know how I feel about omrice. The thing is with this is you're supposed to use duck eggs, but I could not find duck eggs anywhere. So I'm just using regular chicken eggs, but if you have duck eggs, use that. We need to make the sauce first. So we're gonna use this thing. I also need gas for this. I wanna use the stove, but the lighting is so bad over there that you can't actually see anything. So we're gonna do one of these. Boom, stove. Now, the sauce is a kind of a basic, almost tonkatsu-like sauce. So we only need a few ingredients to make this happen. So for this, add in just a splash of water into the world's cutest saucepan, followed by some tomato paste, not too much. Remember, I'm only making 1 serving, and I did have to change this from the original 2 servings from the recipe. Then we're going in with some tonkatsu sauce. You can honestly use some Worcestershire if you want to. If you don't have tonkatsu, it'll give it kind of the same flavor, slightly different, but I'm using just regular old tonkatsu sauce I got from my local market. Then, of course, ketchup. You gotta have ketchup in here. And then finally, to sweeten it up, I have another spoonful of honey. This is just about a tablespoon worth of honey. You can also use sugar if you don't want to use honey, but the recipe calls for honey, so I'm using that. Now we just kick this thing on. All we're looking to do is dissolve that honey with everything else. You don't really need to cook this for very long, literally just a couple of minutes. So I'm just gonna sit here and stir this just until everything is dissolved and then turn it off. That's it. Everything is now together. That's all you're looking for. Nice, like saucy sauce. Just gonna put this to the side. Now we actually get to make the omelet rice part of it before we make the omelet. So we have the sauce ready. Now we get, this thing is still on. Don't touch it. For the omelet rice, saute pan, butter. If you don't have butter, if you don't want to use butter, you can use some pan spray, some oil. I'm just gonna do a little dab of butter. Okay, get that butter melted. Not over too high of a heat. You don't want to brown the butter at all. While the butter is slowly melting, this is when we're going to add some onions. Start cooking those up. I'm gonna throw in the shiitake mushrooms as well. I wanna brown those together. Yeah, brown both of those together. And then I also have some peas, but we're gonna throw that in with the rice at the end so they don't overcook and turn mushy. And these are frozen. It actually calls for frozen peas. Like fresh peas are really hard to get, so keep that in mind. Okay, we're gonna cook this down just until the mushrooms get soft. The onions are translucent and it already smells delicious. It's butter, onions, and mushrooms. You literally can't go wrong. It doesn't say whether or not we should season with black pepper. I don't think we'll need salt, only because there's gonna be soy sauce in this and ketchup and everything, so I'm just gonna hit it with a touch of black pepper. While this is going, I'm gonna crack the eggs into a little bowl, just to get ahead of it. And remember, I'm only using 2 eggs, plus that like half an egg from the muffins, so let me do one of those. Right in there. All right, we got our 2 eggs in our bowl. Give this another toss while that's going. And then we got that little like half an egg from earlier. Just gonna add that to this. Don't need to waste that. Now, she also calls for goat's milk, which I was able to find. Ooh. Oh, that's really good. Okay, just a little splash of that right into the eggs. See that? Yeah, not too much. I probably put too much, but it tastes really good, so whatever. Eggs are ready to go. We're gonna whisk those together, and this is almost done. You can see like the onions are starting to get a little soft and translucent. Let me bring it a little closer, maybe? Come on, up, almost, yeah? Okay, whatever, they're translucent. Now, we get to add the rice, which I did cook ahead of time because that takes like an hour, so we're gonna get some rice. Now the recipe calls for 100 grams of rice, and that's just about 100 grams. It's really not a lot of rice, keep that in mind. All right, we're gonna go in with our rice, throw that right in there. This is when I'm going to throw in my peas. Get that up, a couple of peas left. Just give this a quick toss. We're just trying to incorporate everything. I might need a touch of oil. Maybe I didn't put in enough butter. Actually, we'll use the spatula to kind of break everything up. Just so I lost a pea. I lost another pea. Okay, be gentle when you do this, okay? All right, I'm gonna hit it with just a splash of soy, a bit of ketchup. I'm gonna do like it says 3 tablespoons, but again, I'm only doing a half a portion, so I'm gonna do like 1.5 tablespoons. I like ketchup, so we'll do 2 tablespoons. And then whisk or spatula. You can see once you add your tomato product, it starts to come together. That's kind of what you want. So this way it holds its shape. Give it a quick toss. And then once you're here, I'm legit just going to throw this back into the bowl that we used to get the rice, and then cook our eggs into this. You can see, look at that. Beautiful. All right, that goes into this little bowl. It'll keep it somewhat warm, but the eggs won't take long to cook at all. I'm just doing a quick wipe out with my pan, just to make sure it's nice and clean so there's no more tomato on there, or I guess ketchup in this case. Then we're going to turn this back on, first of all. Hit it with some pan spray, or you can use butter again. Just gonna do some pan spray. And I don't want it super hot right now. It's still pretty warm, so I'm actually gonna turn that back off. Because if I throw this in right away, it's just gonna start frying the egg, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna whisk this together, kind of break it down as much as you can. Probably you should have used a bigger bowl. Who am I to say what works? All right, throw that in there. Now we're gonna turn this back on, and I'm gonna just kind of gently break this down as it cooks, just so this way it like breaks down the egg further. Once that's kind of broken down, throw a lid on it per the instructions. Oh, it barely fits. We're gonna let that cook for like 2-3 minutes, not too long, and then we're gonna throw the rice on top. But I wanna try to shape the rice into that like iconic football shape. I do have the rice shaper that I actually ordered to make rice, but I'm not gonna use it for this, just so that way if you guys don't have it, you don't feel obligated to use it. Just do one of those, yeah? That's perfect. Look at that, almost good. shove it over to one side. This way we can just bloop right into the egg. All right, that's pretty much setting up. So I'm gonna turn the heat off now. I'm gonna add all of my rice to the center. Right there. And then I'm gonna try to fold this over. I think I went a little hard on my rice. It's not quite set up. We're gonna let it go just a little longer. Whatever, it'll be fine. Now we should get a plate ready right away. No, you know what? We're gonna use a small plate. I'm gonna put a fat omelet on the small plate. Okay, let's see if I can move this now. Because I smell the egg, not burning, cooking. I think I may have overcooked my egg. It's a little dark. It's not nearly as nice as Victoria's. So I'm gonna try to save this. I think I put way too much rice in here. I'm gonna fold over this guy. Look at how overcooked that egg is. It's fine. This is okay. I always do this where I overstuff the rice, so I'm just gonna take some of it out. So we gotta push this over to this side. Put this plate here, oh God, like this. Brown eggs. We're just gonna cover it with sauce. I kind of feel bad. I feel like I should remake the egg. I'm gonna do this justice. We're gonna remake the egg. Hold on. So I have my eggs plus my goat milk in here again. We're gonna go right into the pan. And remember how I said we weren't gonna be extra for this? I'm gonna be extra. I'm gonna use my rice thing. You can pick one up on Amazon, link is down below. They're like $8. Add all of my rice to this thing. This way I got my nice little like half a football, I guess, of rice. That, yeah, nice. Then we can take our plate and throw this onto here. This way it'll stay nice and warm while we're working with this. And then try to make sure that it gets cooked in the middle. Please, if anyone has a recommendation for a flat pan, very much appreciate it because these are hot garbage. I'm gonna use another method to get this egg onto our rice, and that's just to kind of cook it, right? To where it's like almost all the way set. We'll throw the lid on it just to let it go. And then once it's almost set, we're just gonna slide it on top of that, sauce it and call it a day. And then we get all the flavors still. I couldn't execute her execution as well. I suck at the folding method. I know it's supposed to be the easier one, but I'm absolutely horrible at it. So, you know, you do you. Or just throw the scrambled eggs in there. That's fine. That's looking almost set. I like mine to where the egg is still slightly runny. It's still a little jiggly. So we're gonna turn this off, get rid of this guy. Then grab our plate of rice right there, reveal it. I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna slide it, hopefully, right on top. Come on, come on. Omelets should not be difficult. There we go, right, come on. Right on top. Now, it doesn't look pretty, okay? If you want it to look pretty, you can just tuck it in. Almost tuck it in. Oh, come on, please. Maybe my pan was too big. Maybe I made too much egg. I can't make it pretty, I'm sorry. We're gonna try. Get myself a spoon. Boom. Look, no one has to know. This is like an episode of Botched by Babish. See that? Oh, look at it. Just a little sloppy, okay? We can fix that. Yourself a little paper towel. Watch, no one has to know. Look at that. Perfect 7 out of 3 omelet, which is actually a very good score now that I think about it. Oh, now we just need the sauce and some green onion garnish. Do one of those. Boom. Oh, yes. We're gonna use all of the sauce. Some green onions. This was also on there. I think you're supposed to put some in the rice too, but I just wanted it on top because it looks really good. And I like the fresh green onion, so you do you. Boom, rice for lunch. It shouldn't have taken this long, but I failed the first egg attempt. But there it is, look at that. Here's the Dodo omelet that we're going to have for lunch at 2:30. Cheers, I'm so excited for this. The color came out great on the second attempt. My mouth is officially watering. Can I do this? Yes. Perfect amount of sweetness, nice and tangy. The rice is good. Fresh green onions on top, really, really like. And the egg is still pretty creamy, even after getting thumbnails for like 10 minutes. Oh, so good. We gotta start dinner though, because dinner takes 4 hours. Next up on our list is the pork, I need this for later, is the pork kakuni. This is gonna be dinner tonight, but it is 3 p.m. now after just doing some cleanup, and I need to start this now because it takes about 3 to 4 hours depending on your pork. Get your stove. We're gonna add just on? Yes, yes. Hit this with just a splash of oil. You don't need too much because pork has a ton of fat. We're also gonna need a plate with paper towels to help dry out all of that pork after we sear it. Boom, paper towels, plate, yes, easy. Now I already diced up my pork. You need these larger chunks, which I have over here. Look at that, nice chunky pork, okay? We're gonna make sure we brown these very nicely on all sides. So this should take about 10 to 15 minutes depending on how big the pork is. I'm gonna put this over here though, where there's the vents. We're gonna combine all the stuff for the sauce. So I have 1 cup of warm water. The reason why I'm using warm water is because we actually need dashi, but I didn't make any dashi, so I'm just gonna use the hondashi granules that I absolutely love and that I need to pick up more of because that's the last of it. Now to this, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of mirin. To do a little one of those. Yep, that's 1/4 cup. Then we're gonna need 1/4 cup of sake. Yep, oh, nice, that's probably good. Not sure if that's 1/4 cup or not, but we're gonna roll with it. And then we need 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, so quite a bit of sugar because it's gonna glaze the pork. All right, so we need 60 grams of granulated sugar. And then we also need brown sugar. Gonna do one of those. Yep, that's good enough. This also needs 80 mils of soy sauce. So we're gonna just measure it out on here. This will be okay. Quite a bit of soy sauce. This is why we didn't season the pork. I just wanted to make sure I got some nice browning on here, but what ends up happening is there's a ton of fat in the pan, and we don't actually want that to transfer to the braising liquid later. So we're gonna take this off, just drop these right onto our paper towel. This way we drain off any excess liquid, or any excess fat, I guess in this case. This way, again, it doesn't go into our main dish later. There's still a lot of fat in there. We don't need, look at how much, can you see how much is in there? Now, we get another pot. Vicky wants us for the other pot. This is going to get our vegetables, and in this case, some really nice aromatics. We're gonna do a couple of pieces of ginger that I've already peeled, drop those right in there. Then, I'm using a bunch of fennel. You're supposed to use 1 bulb. I had 2 because the pot was a little bit bigger. So we're just gonna, it's usually just like, not only adding aromatics, but also protecting the pork from the bottom. So that's why you need stuff like this. Also gonna throw in some green onions, which are these guys. It's like 3 or 4 stalks. Just lay those right on there. Then we're gonna take our pork and place this right on top of that fennel, because this is gonna be so freaking good. Now we gotta fill this with water, and this is what we simmer for 2 to 3 hours, and then after that we strain it, add our braising liquid, another hour, then we can finally eat it for dinner. Which is gonna put us about 6, maybe 7 p.m. Got some warm water right here. Yes, it is in my Chemex coffee thingy. You wanna make sure that this is fully submerged, so I'm gonna add a little more water. This is gonna be a very full pot. You're gonna have to keep an eye on it. Oh yeah, that's okay, that's a lot. We're gonna bring this guy up to a boil, then throw a lid on it and let it simmer for about 2 to 3 hours, and then we can come back to it. Since the pork is gonna take quite a while, I have some time to make cocktails for later today, namely the X Potion and the High Elixir. We're gonna work on the X Potion first because we actually need a lavender syrup, and that's, look at how beautiful. Look how beautiful, it's so pretty. Look at that, yep. I don't know if it'll save you from being bad. In my case, it probably won't. This requires lavender syrup. You can buy dried lavender. I had a hard time finding it. My neighbor luckily had some, so we're able to make this. We're gonna scale it down because I think this makes 6 servings. Don't need 6 servings. We're gonna go by half. So I'm gonna do 50 grams worth of sugar. Yeah, 50 grams, okay. We need 125 milliliters of water because I'm cutting it in half. Let's see. It's not too, oh God, it's on the thing. A little dribble. Okay, we're good. This one also calls for honey, which is nice because it's gonna be really floral with the lavender too. Let's do 40 grams. Because 42 and a half it's just too specific. Okay, we got our sugar, our honey, and our water all in one pot. All we need to do now is warm this thing up, get all those sugars completely dissolved, and then add our lavender, let it steep, and that's it. Remember, we're not really trying to cook this because it is sugar. We don't want it to burn. Simple syrup is typically just brought up to a boil and then reduced for like a minute and then turned off. Oh, she actually wants me to simmer this for 20 minutes. Oh, okay, I'm glad I read that. It's probably to steep the lavender. So we're gonna bring this to a simmer, dissolve everything, reduce the heat to low after we add in our lavender and let that go for 20 minutes or so to make our lavender simple syrup. So this, okay, I was totally wrong. Her methods, we're doing her stuff. Okay, now that everything is dissolved, it looks like the sugars and everything are pretty incorporated into the liquid now. There isn't too many big granules of sugar or honey in there, okay? This is when we add all of our lavender. It's not too much lavender. I actually couldn't get too much. It says 3 tablespoons. This is maybe about half of that, which works out because we're only doing about half the portion. Now we're gonna bring this up to a simmer and then reduce it to a low heat and let it simmer for 25-30 minutes. I'm gonna show you the pork over there. It started boiling. We're just gonna throw a lid on it after we reduce it. So we're gonna go over here now. So once that comes up to a boil, that's all you're looking for. Oh, come on, there it is. There's the boil. We're gonna reduce that super slow and low to a very low simmer. Throw a lid on this. So here is our pork. This has been going for just over 2.5 hours and the pork has softened up. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this, add the braising liquid, we can finish this finally, and then we're gonna make some cocktails. I just wanna take the pork out very carefully because it's probably, yeah, that's really, really tender. Oh my, oh my. This is so tender. I can't believe, like, with no acidity or anything in here and just with water and water and fennel, and this stuff is legitimately falling apart. I can almost not pull it out of the pot. So now our pot is empty. We're gonna very carefully place the pork on the bottom. Look at how tender this is. We'll just mush it. Other than not having any salt, because all the salt is right here, that's fantastic. We're gonna add all of our braising liquid very gently, kind of hitting the spoon right here so it kind of disperses and doesn't really hit the pork because I'd be afraid it would break apart. Now, we're gonna put this back on the stove to simmer for another hour. And while that's simmering, we're gonna make some cocktails. Now, the 2 cocktails are gonna be the high elixir and the X potion, and this is what they look like. The first one is the high elixir. This one is just gonna be muddled, shaken, added to I actually have some pretty decent looking containers. They're not potion containers, but they got my face on it. So that's okay. Now, how do we make this one? This one is going to get a rosemary sprig, just any rosemary. This one's very sad. It's very cold outside, but it'll work. Rosemary sprig into here. Now we need lime juice and lemon juice. No, we just need lime juice. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna muddle the rosemary with, okay. And I lost lime juice. We're gonna take some lime juice, place it in there with the rosemary, and I'm just gonna wipe my cutting board down because that was a disaster. I got my fancy muddler, and we're gonna just gently press the rosemary into the lime juice. So next up, 1 ounce of gin. You can use whatever gin you want. I have some Wild Roots gin here. 1 ounce gin. To get that blue color, we're using blue curacao. So we're gonna do 1 ounce of blue curacao right into there. Ooh, it's like blue Gatorade. Next is 1 ounce of triple sec. And then this was interesting, 1 ounce of maple syrup. I have some nice maple syrup laying around, so I'm glad that I didn't have to go buy this because maple syrup, it ain't cheap. That is nice maple syrup. Oh, damn it. It was a ½ an ounce. It'll just be a little sweeter. Curacao, gin, lime juice, triple sec, maple syrup, rosemary, ice. This is just straight up liquor and lime juice. She said fill it, so I'm gonna fill it. Boom. This is my favorite part. Hopefully I don't get it everywhere. Almost just literally got it everywhere. We're gonna go straight into our little elixir container thing. Oh, look at that color though. That is very green. Hers is kind of more blue. Why is mine so green? Did I not put enough? I got everything in there, I think. We don't have quite a full potion. We'll just throw in another shot of gin. It'll be okay. But there's the high elixir. Look at that color. That is some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff right there. That's the secret of the ooze. That's what that is. Now I'm gonna throw a lid on this so we can enjoy it with dinner later. But there is our high elixir. Next up is the X potion. This one is also very pretty. This is what the X potion looks like. Look at that thing, nice and purple. She says purple dye is optional, and I definitely don't have purple dye, so it is optional today. Now we have to make our lavender citrus juice, and this one is fairly easy because we already have our lavender simple syrup that's ready to go. I have just about 100 milliliters worth of water, again, because I'm making a half batch, so that way it's a little less. 2 shots of lemon juice. We're gonna go, boop, quite a bit of lemon juice in there. That definitely has a bunch of seeds that I don't want. Lemon juice right in there. Make sure there's no seeds, because nobody wants that. Then we're going to do an equal part of lime juice. So another 2 ounces of lime juice. I made way too much lime juice. We just add the lavender simple syrup now. This just goes straight in. That syrup is now done. Now we just mix this with the alcohols and we have our next cocktail. So to this, we're gonna do 2 ounces of Moscato wine. You can use, Moscato's a little bit sweeter, so pick your poison on that. We're gonna go right into there, followed by 1 ounce of gin. I didn't realize both of these had gin in it. I probably should have looked at these recipes ahead of time, but I'm very glad it's both gin. Boom, 1 ounce of gin. Then we need quite a bit of our syrup. This is going to get 4 ounces of syrup, so I'm actually gonna do 2 of these massive shots of juice. Mine's very much not purple. I kind of want to get some purple dye now, because that looks not good. Look at this. It looks like lime juice. I have some like blue dye. We'll get some, do we have blue dye? Okay, I got blue. We're just gonna do 1 drop. Just a little boop. There we go. And now it looks like a mana potion. Damn it. Now we have our X potion. Very sad that it's blue, just like the other one. And it's also not full, so we'll add some ice to this before we drink it. And now we just have to wait for our pork, another 30, 40 minutes, and then we can be done. We've been cooking all day. Oh wait, the other one's more green, yes! That's a win in my books. So this pork has been going for just about an hour now, and it is absolutely ready. It looks so freaking good. Let's plate this thing up. So this pork, I wish you guys could smell this. Rich, like, can you see not only the fat from the sauce? To make it look half decent, I also have some green leaf lettuce that I cleaned. We're just gonna put it on a plate because she has it served up with just some greens and some ginger. And so in this case, I'm just using some leaf lettuce. Look at the color on that. Can you look at how deep that color is? Oh, this looks so good. I've been waiting all day for this. Remember, this is supposed to be like 5 servings or something. So I'm not gonna put all of it on there, but it just has to look good. Gonna do a little bit of fresh green onion right on top. Yeah, and there it is. There is our dinner, our entree of the evening. Look at that beautiful, glistening pile of pork. My God. There it is, guys, a Final Fantasy feast for 24 hours. This did take basically all day, and the only thing we're missing is the alm rice, because I didn't want to make one at 7 p.m. Here, we'll just Photoshop it right here somehow. I also added a bit of ice to each of my cocktails, so they're nice and cold when we try these. I'm more excited to try the pork. We have extra rice from earlier from when we made the alm rice. Muffin, I don't need another one right now. I just want to eat this pork. I'm really excited for this. Look at that. My mouth is legitimately watering right now. It's just, it looks so tender. The fennel and ginger and soy, slightly sweet. That's amazing, and it's gonna go really well with that rice. So make extra. Okay, we have the X potion, high elixir. I forget which one's which. We're gonna try them both. Cheers. Oh, that's good. It's a little sweet. This is the one with the maple syrup. Really good, little sweet. This one, the blue one. I forget which one is which, to be honest. This is the lavender one. Way better. That one is a little overly sweet from the maple. This one's really nice. Honestly, a lot of these were really easy to put together, but I decided to make a bunch of them in one day, and you really don't have to. Just pick and choose. Victoria's awesome. She makes really awesome recipes and great cookbooks, and celebrating Final Fantasy XIV online, especially with the release of Endwalker. I'm gonna be giving one of you guys a copy of her book. All you have to do is comment down below which one was your favorite recipe, and I'll get that out to you. Make sure you have your contact email on your YouTube page so I know who to send it out to. The next 24-hour video I'm doing is actually from Food Wars, so make sure you get subscribed for that. Check out this video that YouTube thinks that you'll like. My name is Chef PK, and remember, keep playing with your food. You ruined my jitsu.